when I hear people, this is why I think I don't even, you're the first persons, my son will tell you, that I didn't know I was coming here. My, I have relatives that served in Europe, and they all talk about the war and the this and that. And war is war, no less. I had a cousin killed in Europe. So I know it's, but in the Pacific it was, I don't know, it was a much brutal. The clash of cultures was completely. If you, in Europe, they were more understanding. They knew that they had to give up, they would give up. But
Did you have any personal encounters with any Japanese soldiers?
yes.
Can you tell us about that?
Well, the first one that we caught, as I said, in the northern part of Ireland, it really, he wanted, we caught him because we chased, as the patrol was going, we saw this group of Japanese soldiers retreating on the other side of the hill, and we were afraid that they would be setting up to ambushes or something, so we and our surrounded them, and we caught them. But one of them was knocked out. He was wounded, and my buddy and I, we caught him, brought him back, and it seems so, we were so, my buddy was a big guy, but they were very ferocious, very dedicated. They were very, and he didn't want to come back. He wanted to kill himself. And later on, in the South, that was in the North, in the South, I did run across some that I had some unfortunate experiences with. And it wasn't,
Were they well equipped, or were they in loincloth? Or I mean, it seems like a lot of them were just in very poor shape.
very poor shape. Very poor shape. Their clothing, their armament was very, very crude to their rifles. I brought back a rifle from one of the, and they were just so, our material, our men, our boys are just much better equipped, much better physically, and they were better educated, better whatever it is. But they were very dedicated.
They were going to die for their emperor.
They would die for their emperor.
How did you spend your nights?
William, you and I are the toughest so-and-sos in the Marine Corps. We would encourage each other, or whoever I was. We paired off with different guys, but we always took care of ourselves. I've always been very aware. At night, I would stand my guard, my hours. I never fell asleep. I had a guy, Bayless, from Oklahoma. He was I think some kind of a Cherokee Indian or something. He would take the watch and he would fall asleep. He knew that I would watch his back, but the Japanese would come out at night. That was one of their favorite things, is to crawl out at night, and you would just be waiting to see anything move, and you had to be careful not to shoot unnecessarily, because then everybody would shoot, and then your position would be compromised, and you would be, so it was something that I also always tried to use some of their tactics where I would have something behind my back that I would not present a silhouette, or and at night, well, some nights when they would be sending out patrols, and our flares at night would be going on, you'd be out there looking to see whatever moved, or what was there one minute and wasn't there, or was there the next. Mm-hmm. So it's things that it's just, right now, I just can't remember, but there's some crazy things happen.
Did they try to bait you at all? Like,
oh, yes.
How so?
That's what it is. You know, they would roll things down, or make noise. Or we had wire sometimes that we set out before we at night in the evening, and they would rattle them, or they would make and try and find our positions, and so you had to use your discretion on what was coming or not.
They yell out,
Yeah.
American names, or
Oh, yeah.
or pretend they were wounded.
Yes, you could hear some yells, and it was at night you could hear them from different parts, different, and they hear the yelling, and a lot of that is also to harass you and keep you awake, to just make you maybe make believe that you see something. They get into your head. Mm-hmm. There's so much I have forgotten, but I don't know. I know I've spent a lot of nights on those foxholes where you peed in your pants almost because you couldn't get out. At night you wouldn't dare move because some crazy would open up fire. And there was a lot of civilians were killed at night. When we would see them, they would get out at night and walk and try and get behind the lines or whatever.
Is there any friendly fire incidences that you know of?
Unfortunately, towards the end of the campaign, just before we went into Naha, there was the Corsairs would come into the hillsides and rockets, mm-hmm. and some of them. But that's war.
Right.
And that incident, I'm telling you now, it was very well recorded, mm-hmm. Because it was at a time where we were trying to keep friendly fire down, and it just happens. It just happens. We crossed that little, I forget the names of the little river, Osakawa or something. And we had taken that, and our troops moved in there, and we were fighting that. We came back, and that very afternoon we could see and we thought that was very close to where we were. I could see the Corsairs going in and firing their rockets. And yeah, no, there was friendly fire amongst the troops. Not so much. I don't think there might have been, but our positions were very well designed. I mean, we were at it just seems that there was just a lot of little hills, and they were very clever that they would always have position on that to look down on us. Mm-hmm. Our crossfire was just something that you were aware of, or otherwise they'd get you.
Yeah.
So their artillery was eventually decimated when they went into trying to compete with our. We were just too much ahead.
You mentioned Nasakawa. Did you possibly mean Ishikawa, or was that a different?
A little
Ishikawa
stream.
Isthmus.
No, there's a stream
Okay.
that we crossed, the 6th Marine Division, we crossed it, and then there was some heights in front of us. I don't know if it's Wasakawa. I know it sounded like that.
Okay.
I haven't gone back in my mind
I know.
in those years.